After the fall, there was community in the garden. There was fellowship in the garden. The man was not superior to the woman. Neither was the woman superior to the man. There was no inferiority in the garden. There was no second, first, second in the garden. By position of being the husband, the man was the head. But I don't know what a headless body would look like, or a bodiless head would look like. If the head just rolled in here and was rolled just the head, I don't know if anybody would sit down here. For a head to be a real head, there must be a body. So it's the body that makes the head the head. So the head cannot say, don't you know I'm the head, so you must know that you're inferior to me. The material of the head is the same thing as the material of the body. So it's question of position. Is someone has got to do something. So there was no superiority or inferiority. It wasn't a question of say, shut up in this my house. Don't you understand? Or I'm going to deal with you, you will know. It wasn't that. There was friendship. There was commonality of interest. There was beauty. There was rapport. I don't agree that, with the teachings, when people say, Eve was not there when God gave the instructions, it's a bunch of foolishness because someone has not read the Bible. Both Adam and Eve were given instructions. If you read the scriptures properly, Adam and Eve, both of them were given the same instruction. They heard from God together. God wasn't talking to the man and not talking to the woman. That's not right. But that had been carved out to make man superior. It came as by reason of the fall. And men began to dominate over the women because of their physical strength. And women became inferior, and gradually it came to a point where the woman was somewhere between the man and the animal. Was something bought and sold. It's sickening to just think that God would create a human person to be bought. If you read Hosea chapter 3, God does some interesting things. He tells Hosea to go and marry a prostitute. And so he says, I went and I bought her. And I said, you bought her. Mention how much he spent in buying her. And that's not how it was supposed to be. That's not what God designed human beings. It was equality. It was friendship. There was companionship. There was partnership. So, Jesus goes into the fast, he comes out, verse 14. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. Like he returned in the power of the Spirit. That's how he returned. He was baptized in the Spirit. So he went into the wilderness, led by the Spirit, and he came back in the power of the Spirit. That's how we all came out from sin. When you're baptized in the Holy Spirit, you come in the power. You return in the power of the Spirit. That's what happens to you. You may not understand it. See, the difference between us and Jesus is that Jesus studied the book. He said, lo, I come in the volume of the book that is written concerning me. We don't study the book. If you study the book, you know that is Christ in you. I think I said that on Wednesday. Christ in you. That's the mystery. Christ in you. It's not about how powerful somebody thinks they are. I'm not more anointed than anybody on this earth. Neither is there anybody more anointed than I am on this earth. The difference is the understanding of who you are. It's the understanding of who you are. And every single person in this auditorium tonight, if you can come into an understanding of who you are, you will do what Jesus said you would do. Because he came to demonstrate. So when man lost all of that, Jesus came. Let me put it exactly like that. God said, all right, what am I going to do? And you know God doesn't behave like that. God knows what he wants to do. I'm talking like a human being. How am I going to make the people understand how I designed them to live? Because they missed me. So God said, all right, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take an egg from a woman. I'm going to come into same spirit as I breathe into Adam and Eve. I'm going to come in and take that egg. I will live in that being. They will accept that person because he's a human person. They will not understand that I am the one living inside of him. But living in him, I am going to demonstrate to people how I designed them originally to live. I don't know if I've been able to explain that. That's exactly what Jesus did as a pattern. This is how humans should live. And so he never tapped into the attributes of deity throughout those 33 and a half years. Never used it once. There is nothing that Jesus had that is not available to us today. Everything that he had, we have today. And so we can live exactly like he lived if we have understanding. All right. So he returns in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. He taught, and people were saying, wow, this is gracious. And it's written there. If you read down, you're going to see the gracious words that came out of his mouth. The words that come out of our mouth should be gracious words. Shouldn't be callous words. We shouldn't talk down on people. We shouldn't be abusive to people. People are hurting. I don't know about you, but I go around and meet people. I meet people on a daily basis. As I go from nation to nation, I just don't sit down in a hotel room and then go out on the crusade ground and stretch my hand and miracles happen. No, sometimes I go to their homes. I said, let's go into the countryside. Let me go see the chief of your village. I want to sit down with him. And he said, no, man, very powerful. I said, I know. Let's go see him and sit down with him and talk with him. And there's not ones that have gone that they don't know I'm more powerful than they are. Because they don't. They put on a mask. Because, you know, you've got to show that you're a great guy. Otherwise, people are not going to talk with you. No, but the only way we can show that is by the miracle power of God, which is at work in us. Look at what Paul is saying to the Ephesians when he's writing to them. He said, now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above what we can ask or think, according to the power that works in us. There is power that is working in you. What stands between us and the manifestation of that power is knowledge. That's all. We don't believe it. We don't believe it. So he returns. He is teaching in the synagogues and being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, I like that. Now every day you go to church, as his custom was. As his custom was. That was his custom. It was part of his lifestyle. He went to the synagogue on the Sabbath and stood up for to read. And you know, the priest handed him a book and he opened the book. And I just love what he did there. Look at his attitude. Look at his doctrine. And as I drive through our towns here in Nigeria, you see some billboards and the vengeance of our God. I mean, that's wickedness of the heart of people. Jesus took that book and he read it. When he came to that place, he closed the book as if to say, don't read that line.